If the housing market was a dating app, most of us would be stuck endlessly swiping left. Too expensive? Nah, way too expensive. Oh, high maintenance and out of my league. Today we're diving into why finding an affordable home has become America's least favorite matchmaking game. Housing Hunt, the search for the vanishing homes. Imagine this. You're on a quest, scanning neighborhoods like you're Indiana Jones. But instead of ancient artifacts, you're after something even rarer. An affordable home. The real kicker? It's not just hard to find, it's practically an endangered species. For years, the US has been underbuilding homes, and now we're paying the price. It's estimated that the US is short by anywhere from 2 to 8 million homes. With each passing year, the demand only grows. Every day, eager buyers enter the market, but the inventory remains scarce. It's like showing up to an all-you-can-eat buffet, only to find empty trays and disappointed diners. The housing shortage didn't happen overnight. In fact, it's been brewing for years, but the pandemic was like throwing gasoline on an already smoldering fire. Suddenly, people needed more space. Remote work meant no more daily commute, but it also meant being cooped up at home. Tiny apartments that once seemed cozy started feeling more like claustrophobic prison cells. The demand for larger homes skyrocketed, but the supply? Well, it stayed buried 6 feet underground, and the construction sector couldn't keep up. Now let's talk about numbers. The average home price in the US has skyrocketed to $417,000. That's a jaw-dropping number, especially when you compare it to the average household income, which is around $75,000. This mismatch between home prices and incomes has created a widening gap, leaving potential buyers scratching their heads. How is anyone supposed to afford a house in a market that feels like it's rigged against them? It's like trying to buy a ticket to a sold-out concert. You're either paying a fortune or not getting in at all. But it's not just a numbers game. This mismatch is reshaping entire communities. Migration patterns are shifting. Families who once lived in expansive coastal states like California are packing up and heading inland to places like Texas or Florida. Why? Because while prices in those states haven't reached apocalyptic levels, they're at least somewhat more manageable. For now. But wait, there's more to the story than just supply and demand. Builders, the people we rely on to create more homes and ease the pressure, aren't exactly rushing to the rescue. It's not because they're sipping coffee and procrastinating. There are real issues at play here. The pandemic disrupted supply chains, creating a severe shortage of materials like lumber and steel. At the same time, the labor market for construction workers shrank. Even when a builder breaks ground on a new project, it takes longer to complete and costs significantly more than it would have a few years ago. It's like trying to sprint through quicksand. The harder they push, the slower the progress. So, as you prepare for your housing hunt, don't be surprised when you encounter sold signs everywhere you look. It might feel like you're chasing an illusion. A home that doesn't break the bank might be today's ultimate treasure. And the journey to find it? That's going to be an adventure. But the real story is just beginning. Builder giants, the titans of the housing market. Think you can outsmart the housing market? Think again. The builder giants are the true gatekeepers, and they've turned the home building industry into their personal empire, where the rules are rigged in their favor. You've got behemoths like D.R. Horton and Lenner, two of the largest home builders in the country, flexing their muscles and gobbling up smaller buildings like snacks at a cocktail party. Forget David versus Goliath. David didn't even get a ticket to this fight. Over the past few decades, the home building landscape has drastically changed. What was once a competitive industry full of small and mid-sized companies is now dominated by a handful of corporate titans. These companies don't just compete, they acquire. In fact, just 10 major builders control more than half of the new homes being constructed in the US. And in certain cities like Tampa, these corporate giants have an even tighter grip, controlling over 80% of the market. It's as if they've turned the housing market into their own personal game of Monopoly. And guess what? They own all the best properties, while you're stuck on Baltic Avenue hoping for a break. But here's where things get really interesting. These builder giants aren't in any rush to flood the market with new homes. Why? Because it's more profitable to keep supply low. By deliberately dragging out construction projects, they can create the illusion of scarcity. Fewer homes available on the market means higher prices, and higher prices mean bigger profits. It's a genius strategy. Build fewer homes, charge more for each one, and watch the money roll in. It's like turning the heat up just enough to make everyone uncomfortable, but not so much that they leave the room. And it's not just their tactics that give them an advantage, it's their financial firepower. These big builders have deep pockets, with access to nearly limitless cash flow. Meanwhile, smaller builders are struggling to stay afloat. During the 2008 financial crisis, many small builders were wiped out, unable to manage the soaring costs of borrowing money. But the builder giants? They weathered the storm with ease, using the economic downturn as an opportunity to buy up more land and expand their empires. Fast forward to today, and they hold all the cards. They dictate not only how homes are built, but also when, where, and for how much. Speaking of how homes are built, have you ever driven past a new development and felt like you were seeing the same house over and over again? That's not your imagination. These builder giants have streamlined the process of home building into a well-oiled machine. Fewer design options, cheaper materials, and assembly line efficiency. The result? Rows of nearly identical homes churned out like fast food. Quick, uniform, and maybe a little bland. It's not about creating unique, personalized homes, it's about maximizing profits. Sure, it might lack variety, but when you own the market, who's going to complain? So what does this mean for you, the potential homebuyer? As long as the builder giants continue to dominate the market, home prices are likely to remain high, competition will be scarce, and the dream of owning a home might feel like a losing game. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into how rising costs are squeezing buyers, turning home ownership into a distant dream for many. Price pump, inflating costs, deflating dreams. It's as if someone took a giant air pump and decided to inflate home prices just for fun. But this isn't just about high prices, it's about the growing gap between what people can afford and what homes actually cost. It's like watching your dream of home ownership float farther and farther away, just out of reach. Ever looked at a home listing and thought, wasn't this the price of a mansion just 10 years ago? Let's rewind a bit. 2 decades ago, buying a home was challenging, but it was still within reach. You weren't competing with billionaires or tech moguls, but now, home prices are skyrocketing faster than a rocket launch to the moon. That $417,000 price tag on a typical home feels absurd, especially when your income has barely budged. Imagine trying to manage that price with an income of $75,000. It's like trying to carry water in a sieve. Your paycheck can barely cover the garage, let alone the whole house. Here's the painful truth. This isn't a temporary spike. This is the new normal. It's as if the housing market got together and said, how high can we go up before people give up entirely? The scary part is, it's working. Wages haven't kept up with the rising costs. So while home prices are living their best life on the price pump, household incomes are left struggling to keep up. Now let's talk cities. Major metropolitan areas used to be the hub of opportunity. A decade ago, owning a home in a city like New York, San Francisco, or Los Angeles was tough, but it was doable. Now, it's practically a joke. If your household isn't putting in 6 figures, you're stuck on the sidelines, watching home prices zoom by like race cars. And if you think waiting for prices to cool off will help, think again. Prices aren't just high, they're climbing higher every year, making it feel like the housing market is reserved exclusively for the wealthy. For first-time homebuyers, it's like a tragic comedy. You spend years saving up for a down payment, only to realize that home prices have run so far ahead of your budget that your savings barely make a dent. Now you're left deciding between putting down roots or eating solid food for the next decade. And even when buyers stretch their finances to the absolute limit, the market shrugs and says, "Nice try, but we're still out of your league." It's like a cruel game of Monopoly, where the builder giants are raking in profits while regular folks are stuck watching from the sidelines. And it doesn't end there. Owning a home isn't just about that hefty price tag. The price pump inflates everything. Property taxes, maintenance costs, and the constant stream of unexpected repairs. You thought getting the keys was hard? Just wait until you're shelling out thousands for a new roof or surprise plumbing disasters. It's like signing up for a never-ending subscription to the money drain service, and canceling isn't an option. As prices continue to inflate, the gap between what buyers can afford and what's actually available widens into a chasm. It's like trying to leap across the Grand Canyon, except instead of a safety net, there's a mountain of bills waiting for you at the bottom. Cost crisis, when home ownership hits harder than expected. You finally did it. You saved, you stressed, and you finally managed to buy a house. Congratulations! But hold on, you're not out of the woods just yet. In fact, you've only just begun to discover the hidden financial traps that come with home ownership. Welcome to the cost crisis, where the true cost of owning a home is about to hit you like a ton of bricks. Let's start with property taxes. You thought your mortgage was the only thing you had to worry about? Think again. As housing prices rise, so do property taxes. Just when you think you've got a handle on your monthly payments, along comes the tax man, demanding his cut. The more your home is worth, the more you have to pay. It's like ordering a pizza, only to find out you're being charged extra for toppings you didn't even ask for. But taxes are just the beginning. Then there's maintenance. Owning a home isn't just about enjoying your space. It's about keeping it from falling apart. Think about like playing Jenga in a hurricane. Every month, something needs fixing, replacing, or upgrading. And each repair comes with a price tag that makes you second guess your decision to buy in the first place. A new roof? That'll cost you. A surprise plumbing disaster? Better start digging deep into your emergency fund. Before you know it, you're not just a homeowner, you're a full-time maintenance worker. And don't get me started on utilities. You thought your energy bills were high before? Just wait until you move into your new home. Larger space means larger bills. Suddenly, your heating and cooling costs are through the roof, and you're left wondering if you accidentally signed up to power the entire neighborhood. It's like owning a home gives all your bills permission to start their own growth spurt. But the biggest shock? All these costs add up faster than you can keep track of. Buying the house was just the warm-up. The real marathon is keeping it. It's like playing a game of whack-a-mole with your expenses. Just when you think you've knocked one cost down, another one pops up. And before long, you're buried under a mountain of unexpected expenses that no one mentioned during the house tour. And here's the kicker. Selling your home isn't necessarily a way out. You may think that with rising prices, you could flip your house and make a profit. But by the time you're ready to sell, you could be hit with new costs, fees, and repairs that eat into any potential gains. The cost crisis is real, and there's no easy escape. Buyer's revenge. The tables are turning. After years of playing defense, buyers are finally starting to strike back. Welcome to Buyer's Revenge, where the tables have turned, and the sellers who once held all the cards are now scrambling to keep up. For years, sellers enjoyed the upper hand, riding the wave of skyrocketing home prices and watching as bidding wars drove prices even higher. But now, homes are sitting on the market for longer, and sellers are sweating bullets. Buyers are no longer panicking, they're waiting, watching. And when sellers get desperate enough, buyers swoop in with offers that are more on their terms. It's like buyers have collectively agreed to hit pause on their panic mode and start calling the shots. Sellers who were once confident they'd have multiple offers above asking price are now wondering if they'll get any offers at all. Price cuts are becoming more common, and we're not just talking about shaving a few $100s here and there. No, we're seeing thousands of dollars slashed from the asking price just to lure buyers back in. It's almost like watching a fire sale, and buyers are loving every minute of it. And let's talk about inventory. After years of tight supply, homes are finally starting to pile up. Suddenly, buyers have more options. No more take it or leave it attitude from sellers. It's turned into, please, take it. For once, buyers can afford to be picky. They can walk away from overpriced homes knowing there's another one just around the corner. But it's not just about price cuts. Mortgages are playing their part too. Big builders and real estate agents are now offering buyers incentives like reduced mortgage rates, closing cost assistance, and other perks just to sweeten the deal. These offers were unheard of just a few years ago when sellers had all the power. But here's the thing. This buyer's market might not last forever. The pendulum swings both ways. And with the unpredictability of the housing market, things could shift back in favor of sellers sooner than we think. But for now, buyers are enjoying the rare opportunity to hold the upper hand, and they're making the most of it. Market Meltdown, when the bubble bursts. If you thought the housing market couldn't get any crazier, think again. We're heading straight into Market Meltdown, where all the twists and turns in the housing market start to reveal their cracks. When prices rise this fast and supply can't keep up, something's gotta give. And it's not going to be pretty. Picture this. Homes sitting on the market for months, sellers scrambling to slash prices, and inventory piling up like leftovers at an all-you-can-eat buffet. We're already seeing the early warning signs. Price cuts, mortgage rate freezes, and deals that sound too good to be true. But those are just the appetizers. The real meltdown could come when the market hits critical mass. The problem with bubbles is that they don't last forever. And when the housing market bubble pops, the fallout could be seismic. We've seen it happen before, and we could be heading down that same road again. Rising debt, people overextending themselves, homes being bought at prices that can't be sustained, it's a perfect recipe for disaster. If that bubble bursts, we could be looking at another round of foreclosures, financial instability, and, yes, plummeting home values. But it's not just buyers and sellers who will feel the impact. A full-on market meltdown will ripple through the entire economy. Think about all the industries tied to the housing market: construction, banking, retail. They'll all feel the hit. Job losses, shrinking investments, and a sudden halt to new developments could send shockwaves through the economy, leaving more than just homeowners scrambling. The real kicker? No one knows exactly when or how it'll happen, but the signs are everywhere. Overpriced homes, hesitant buyers, builders who've stretched themselves too thin. If things don't balance out soon, the meltdown could take everyone down with it. So, what's the takeaway here? The housing market is a volatile, unpredictable beast. While it might feel like buyers have the upper hand now, we're all walking on a fragile foundation. What goes up must eventually come down. Thanks for sticking around. If you're feeling the squeeze from housing or curious about how other big issues like the economy, wages, or inflation might affect you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got more insights and updates on all things money and more coming your way. Stay tuned, and as always, thanks for watching.